distinct honor this evening to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Joe Garcia. Mr. Garcia, Chancellor of the Colorado Community College System. As the CCCS Chancellor, Mr. Garcia leads us our state's largest system of higher education, which serves 111,000 students annually at 13 colleges and 35 locations across Colorado. Mr. Garcia brings demonstrated leadership and commitment to advancing success and equity in higher education through various roles in both the public sector and higher education. Prior to his role at CCCS, Mr. Garcia served 2 terms as president of the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education and 5 years as Lieutenant Governor of Colorado and as an Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Higher Education. From 2006 to 2010, Mr. Garcia was president of the Colorado State University of Pueblo, and for 5 years prior to that, he was the president of Pikes Peak State College. Mr. Garcia's previous public service positions included serving as a member of the cabinet of the Governor Roy Romer and as a White House appointee under then President Bill Clinton. He was the first Hispanic partner of the 100-year history of Denver-based Home, Roberts, and Owen, where he focused on public education law. Mr. Garcia earned his Bachelor of Science in International Business from the University of Colorado at Boulder and a Juris Doctorate from the Harvard Law School. Mr. Garcia currently serves on the board of the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Education Fund, Complete College America, the Colorado Community Scholarship Initiative, the Colorado Workforce Development Council, and the Business Experimental Learning Commission. May I ask you all to join me in a warm welcome of Chancellor Joe Garcia.
Thank you for that introduction. It really is a pleasure for me to be here. I spend way too much time in Denver at our system office, and so whenever I get a chance to get out to one of our colleges, to one of our communities, it's a highlight for me. So, before I forget, hi Amy. I don't know you, you don't know me, but what the hell? Everybody's saying hello to you. So I need to do that? Okay. Also, I went back to the bar and checked. The bar's going to be open, so while I'm speaking, don't hesitate. Get up and get some drinks. There's more dessert there, or you can use that as an excuse to kind of quietly sidle out and get to your car. I hope you don't, but I'll try to make this quick. But I just love talking about our colleges and what they mean to Colorado. I've been the chancellor of the system for about 5 years now, and it's been great because, again, our colleges are around the state. As you heard in the introduction, we have 13 colleges, about 35 locations, serve over 110,000 students every year, and that doesn't even include the high school students that we serve through concurrent enrollment. We make a difference, but we make a difference because we are community-focused. We're community-based. And I'm really excited to be here with some of my colleagues. First person I want to mention, because he's the first person I met when I started at Pikes Peak Community College and knew nothing about leading a college, was Jim Rizzuto. He was at the time the president of Otero Junior College, then Otero Junior College. And he was, frankly, kind of a know-it-all. But the good news is he actually did know a heck of a lot. And he wasn't bashful about sharing that with me. The one thing he wouldn't share was where you guys got the money to do the things that you did here. And whenever I'd ask him, how are you doing that, Jim? And he'd say, well, you got the money, it's buried in the Higbee Valley. Is that a real thing? I heard that so many times back in those days, I've never forgotten. But I'm also here with someone who I just deeply respect, and everybody in the system has a great deal of affection for, and that is retiring President Linda Lujan from Lamar Community College. Linda, thank you for everything you've done. You are leaving really big shoes to fill. I think Dr. Rosana Reyes is going to do a great job, But she's going to find that everywhere she goes, people are going to say, but President Lujan, did it this way. And it's going to take a while. And I know you've been generous with your time to help her, just as you have been with all of our presidents, and frankly with me during my time as a chancellor. You are not bashful about giving your advice, and your advice is always good. So all of your colleagues, all of your presidents, all of our presidents are going to miss you. They owe you so much for your mentorship. And finally, President Alvarez. You and I have been in this system about the same amount of time. You started about 6 months before I did. I've had a chance to work with you. And you, I know, understand that a year as a college president is, frankly, it's like dog years. I mean, it really ages you very quickly. It's like 1 year doing this will just kick the crap out of you. But you just got to keep going. And Tim he was so committed to this community. And what we will all miss is Tim's commitment to students. He really loved students. And frankly, he was the best dressed of all of our presidents. That's not a high bar, but he really exceeded it. So congratulations, Tim, on doing what I look forward to doing sometime, becoming a full-time grandpa. That's just a wonderful thing to retire to. And thank you, Lori, for being supportive of this, because I know these jobs are hard on spouses. And thank you for what you've done. Now, I will say, as a longtime resident of Southern Colorado, and as someone whose roots are in a small rural community in northern New Mexico called Española and Chimayo, those are two small agricultural-based communities. And so in a lot of ways, they're like smaller versions of La Junta. I really value that, and I realize and recognize and constantly tell others why small rural communities are so important to our state. You all know that. You know it's our history, our heritage isn't in Denver or Boulder. It's in communities like La Junta and Lamar and Sterling and Rangeley and Craig and Trinidad. And not everybody in Denver realizes that. They drive through here maybe, but they don't stop. They don't know what happens here. They don't know where their food comes from. They think it comes pre-wrapped in King Soopers and have no idea that somebody actually raises it, grows it, and delivers it to those stores. Now, I don't know if there are many Governor Hickenlooper fans in here. I'm guessing not everybody, but I worked closely with him for years, and one of the things that he said to me that I'll never forget is, what really makes Colorado special isn't Denver or Boulder. It's the small communities where our history and heritage were established. And frankly, if not for those communities, and from the sweeping grass of the Great Plains to the majestic mountains to the western slope, if not for those things, Denver's just a city. It might as well be, Kansas City, but with a worse football team. So, maybe not for long, But you know firsthand what makes this community so important to the state. And that's why I stand here as the chancellor of a big system with a lot of big colleges, but a lot of small ones. 7 of our 13 colleges are rural colleges. Those colleges are also our oldest colleges. Trinidad State is our oldest by far, 1925. Others came along in the 30s and 40s. Those colleges were and are foundational to their communities, and they always will be. And so as we get ready to start a search to replace President Alvarez, we're going to take that seriously. And I want to make sure people in this community understand. While there have been efforts over the years to consolidate colleges, that's not what I'm about. We're going to find a new president for Otero College, just for Otero College, someone who will live here in La Junta and support the business and agricultural communities in La Junta. You have my word on that. Now, our rural community colleges really share a mission with our larger colleges, but we do things differently, and that makes sense. Like any business, we have to cater to our customers and to our local economies and our local customer base. That is hard to do when you've got a smaller community. We have fewer students to serve, and less revenue coming in the door. And yet those students want and deserve all the programs, all the support services that you get at one of the larger schools. But think about how challenging that is. If you have a small business in a small community, and the population in that community is getting smaller and older, as it is in some of our rural communities, it's a hard place to run a successful college. We can't do it without the cooperation, collaboration, and the support of everyone in the community. We want to support you. We want to support your young people, but we need your support to make it possible. The programs we offer at Otero are different than the programs we offer at Front Range, but they're also different than the programs we offer in Sterling or Craig or Trinidad, and that's as it should be. Because again, we're serving different economies and different families with different ambitions. You need to tell us, what are the best ways that we can support you? And again, help us. Help us identify that next president. We're going to be doing some community meetings trying to gather information where people will identify, what do we need? What kind of president do we want here? What are the qualities and characteristics he or she can bring to our community? Let us know, because that's how we build the job descriptions. That's how we hire folks. Now, I will say I'm not excited about the fact that since I've been chancellor, more than half of our presidents have chosen to retire. No. It's not because of me. Seriously. And Linda,
it's true.
Thank you. I just happened to come along when a lot of our presidents were beginning to have grandchildren that they wanted to be closer to, that were in their 60s and 70s and felt it's time. Now, I've been excited that we've been able to hire so many new, great presidents from all around the country who have said, I want to be part of the Colorado Community College system. I believe in what you are doing there. Let me be a part of it. So you need to help us find just such a person to replace Tim. Someone will bring the same energy and the commitment to the community that he has brought, but help us bring, again, new ideas and help us find ways for this college to be successful. Because, again, it isn't easy. As our colleges, all of our colleges, I will tell you, from our largest to our smallest, really took a beating during COVID. A lot of students left. A lot of those students haven't come back. And what I'm worried about is a lot of the students who were in high school during COVID became disengaged as their courses were being delivered remotely and they weren't learning as much. And maybe they're not ready to come to college. Maybe they're not even thinking about college, because our biggest competition right now is the economy and the workforce. We know that everybody is trying to hire folks. And students, even without a college degree, are finding an opportunity to make 16, 18, 20 bucks an hour, and they're not willing to turn their back on that. Why should they? We know that's good for them. But we also know that the value of higher education, all the evidence demonstrates that it has not gone away. During COVID, the people most likely to keep their jobs and be able to work remotely were those with a college education. During the last recession, some of you are old enough to remember the last recession. Lots of people lost their jobs, but it wasn't the people with college degrees. It was the people with high school diplomas and less. And as the economy recovered, it recovered for those people with a post-secondary credential. We all know in communities, rural, suburban, or urban, that more jobs now require some college. Maybe not a bachelor's degree, maybe an associate's degree or certificate, but it is absolutely clear, the evidence is clear, that you will do far better. You will be more recession-proof, more COVID-proof if you have that college degree. So why would we deny that to our kids? Now, some people say, I hear this all the time, it's too expensive. Don't decide that until you come to one of our colleges and talk to an admissions advisor and a financial aid advisor, because what you'll find is most of our students get significant financial aid. And for students from low-income families to get a full Pell Grant, that's 100% of their tuition is covered. About 65% of our graduates graduate with zero debt. Now, that's not what you think reading the papers that talk about the student debt crisis. That student debt crisis is real, but it's not so real for our students. It's for the folks who went to the four-year private colleges or the proprietary for-profit institution, racked up huge debt, and then didn't graduate, didn't get a degree, didn't improve their earning potential. For students who want to get an education at low cost, we are the place to start. Even if you want to go on and get a bachelor's degree, we now have a program with every public four-year institution in the state called Bridge to the Bachelor's. And if you come to one of our colleges and get an associate's degree, not only will your credits transfer, but if you get that degree, they are guaranteeing you admission. And a lot of our students wouldn't be admitted to CU Boulder if they applied right out of high school. But Boulder, Metro, CU Denver, CSU Fort Collins, Adams, CSU Pueblo are all saying, we'll guarantee you a slot if you come to us with an associate's degree. And that's a pretty damn good deal, if you ask me. I had a son who, my daughter was great, went right through school, did everything right. Anybody have boys? Man, it's a pain in the ass. My boys thought they went to college to become skateboarders, but they were already skateboarders. I wasn't sure what paying for a college education was going to do to enhance that. My youngest started out at Fort Lewis because I had visited Fort Lewis. I thought, what a cool place. I love it here. I convinced him to go. He went there for about a year and, did what a lot of people at Fort Lewis do, mountain bike and snowboard and party. They call Fort Lewis Fort Leisure. Okay. Anyway, he came back after, went to Pikes Peak Community College, found something that he liked to do, and then he continued that and went to CSU Pueblo. Now, he wouldn't go there when I was there, but after I left, he would go there, and he got a four-year degree and got a great job right away, and is out there. It's never too late. And so I want you to think about the fact that you want your young people to go to college, even if they don't know what they want to do. Because it is a place where they will discover not only what they want to do, but what they are capable of. And it doesn't have to be just for 18 to 22-year-olds. In my family, my mother always preached the value of education, although she did not have one herself. She was 18 when she got married. My father was in the Army. They traveled everywhere. She raised 5 kids as we traveled around the country, and always, I think, was a little bit jealous of those people who had an education. After we all went to college, I went to law school, my sister went to medical school, my 2 younger brothers earned undergraduate and graduate degrees at MIT, one of the most selective institutions in the country. My mom enrolled at a local community college when she was 56. She graduated, went on to get her 4-year degree when she was 63. And then she said, now I can get a better job. Now, it was true. I mean, it is empowering. And I know there are some folks who think college isn't a good place to send your kid because you don't trust what they're going to learn there. I've talked to a couple of my rural presidents in our system who've told me recently that a lot of their students who graduate and go on to a 4-year school are being sent or choosing to go to Texas rather than CSU or, God forbid, Boulder, because of what people think they're going to learn there. Well, I want us to remember what education is about. It is about exploration. It is about discovering new things. It is about learning to critically appraise the world around you. So sometimes your kids might come back from that first semester of college and have a different perspective than you do. Or come back, as my oldest son did, and said, I'm a vegan. Like, what is that? But on the other hand, his twin sister, biracial young girl, raised in a very liberal family, went off to a very liberal 4-year college in Grinnell, Iowa. She was there her second year. I had picked up the alumni magazine that they would send us because they wouldn't wait till your kid graduated before they started asking for money. But I opened it up, and there was an essay in there, and I saw my daughter's name as the byline. She was the author. And the title of the article, Why I Became a Republican. It is true, those schools are indoctrinating our kids. And what schools are doing is teaching kids to think, to re-examine what they believed, to learn, to grow, to become better citizens. And better citizens of our nation doesn't mean uncritical citizens. It means citizens who want to make our nation better, our economy stronger. So let's not ever talk about higher education in such a pejorative way. Yes, there are professors out there with whom you may disagree. That's good. We want disagreement. My wife teaches at Colorado College, and she's got a lot of information about, we need to make sure our kids feel safe and we're not touching on things that might upset them. So she would say, on the first day of class, they have a block system there, she'd say, there are no safe spaces in this classroom. We're going to talk about everything. If you don't like what I'm saying, argue with me. That's what higher education should be about. It is not wanting to send your kids off to come back and say, Dad, you were right about everything. We love hearing that, but when we send them to college or to the mall, they're going to come back and say, Dad, you're full of crap. So why not hear that from an educated individual who's better prepared to have a good life, to build a strong community, and by critically examining everything they hear, everything they see, building a stronger democracy. That's what higher education is about. That is why it is worth your investment of both time and money. Don't ever tell your kid it's not possible. It is. And if your kid gets an education, they will argue and say, of course it's possible.